Ever get that feeling like someone's watching you, you know? Or when something you always thought was true suddenly isn't.
Yeah, it's a really weird feeling, like a modern anxiety.
Totally. But here's the thing. A book written over 70 years ago, yeah, 70, nailed those feelings in a way that still creeps people out today.
Oh, for sure.
So today we're diving into 1984 by George Orwell. You guys have been asking for this one.
We're going to break down the core of the book, the stuff that makes it so powerful and so relevant, even all these years later.
Right. We want to go beyond just like, oh yeah, I read that in high school. This is about seeing the world through the lens of 1984.
Totally. And we've got a lot to draw on. Discussions about the book itself, its historical context, that crazy plot, and of course all those big, huge themes that make it so thought-provoking.
So to start, when Orwell was writing this super dark vision of the future, what was going on in the real world that might have, inspired him?
Well, you can't talk about 1984 without talking about totalitarianism. Orwell was looking at what was happening in Nazi Germany and Stalin's Soviet Union.
Those are some seriously scary times.
Right. It was like he was seeing how these regimes could twist reality, control people's minds, and that really fed into the party's methods in 1984.
But it wasn't just these big, massive political systems, was it? I mean, Orwell had some more, I guess you could say, personal experience with how power works.
Absolutely. His time as a police officer in British-ruled India had a huge impact on him.
That's right. I mean, he saw firsthand how colonialism worked, the inequality, and how it just crushed people's ability to control their own lives.
That's exactly the kind of understanding that he poured into the power dynamics in Oceania.
Yeah.
He saw how systems built on dominance and taking away people's power could really play out.
And that brings us to Big Brother.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most iconic images from the book. Where did that idea come from, and how do you think it's changed over time, like what it means to us today?
Well, Big Brother literally came straight from the pages of 1984. He's that symbol of ultimate authority, always watching, always knowing.
And we use it all the time now, right?
Yeah, it's not just about governments anymore. It's corporations, social media, anything that seems to be controlling us, watching us.
Think about all the data collection happening, the cameras everywhere. It's kind of creepy, right?
Totally. It's that constant feeling of being monitored.
So Orwell was writing about this really bleak world, and at the same time, he was dealing with some pretty serious stuff in his own life, wasn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately, Orwell was struggling with tuberculosis while he was writing 1984.
And it eventually got him.
Right. He died not long after the book was published.
So sad. And it kind of adds another layer to the book, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Knowing he was sick, facing his own mortality, it makes the whole thing feel even more, more hopeless, I guess.
You can kind of feel that darkness seeping into the story.
Definitely.
And it's ironic, right?
Yeah.
That a book that's so against oppressive systems has been banned and censored by those very same kinds of systems.
It's true. 1984 has been banned in countries where the government didn't want people reading about totalitarianism.
Like, hey, maybe this hits a little too close to home.
Exactly. It's still considered dangerous in some places, even today.
So going back to Orwell's time in India, can you talk a little bit more about how that shaped his worldview?
Well, Orwell, his real name was Eric Blair, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he was born in Motihari, Bihar, right in India, in 1903.
Wow.
And being born under British rule, I mean, he witnessed the whole machinery of the British Empire up close.
He was right in the middle of it.
Right. He saw the racism, the exploitation, the just utter unfairness of the whole system.
It must have been a real eye-opener for him.
Oh, it totally shaped his views on power and injustice. And it comes through so clearly in 1984.
Okay, so the title itself, 1984, it feels almost prophetic, right?
People think that. But it's funny, the story behind the title is actually pretty simple.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Orwell finished writing the book in 1948. And basically, he just flipped the last two digits to get 1984.
Wow. So it wasn't meant to be a prediction.
Not really. More like a warning. You know, if things keep going in this direction, this is what could happen.
Yeah. And speaking of things that could happen, let's talk about newspeak. What was Orwell's thinking behind creating this whole new language?
Newspeak is one of the most brilliant and terrifying parts of the book.
I know, right?
It's a language that's designed to control people's thoughts.
Like literally control what they can even think about.
Exactly. By getting rid of words related to rebellion, freedom, even like complex emotions, the party can basically make those ideas impossible to even think about.
That's messed up.
Right. And there are specific words too, like doublethink.
Oh, yeah, doublethink. What was that again?
It's like believing two opposite things at the same time.
And being okay with it.
Yeah, like accepting both is true. It's a key part of how the party maintains control.
It's scary how relevant that feels today, with all the talk about misinformation and propaganda and stuff.
Totally. It's like Orwell saw where things were heading.
Okay, so we've got the historical context, we've got newspeak. Let's actually jump into the world of the book. Can you set the scene? What's Oceania like in 1984?
Okay, so picture this. The world is divided into three superstates: Oceania, Eurasia, and Eastasia. And they're always at war.
Always.
Always. The book takes place in Oceania, which is ruled by the party, and of course, Big Brother.
And the party controls everything, right?
Absolutely. Everything. What you eat, where you work, what you think. You're never really alone, not even in your own head.
So we meet Winston Smith. He's our main guy. Tell me about him.
Winston's 39 years old, and he works for the Ministry of Truth.
Ministry of Truth. That sounds nice.
Right. Except it's the opposite of truth. His job is literally to rewrite history.
To make it match what the party wants people to believe.
Exactly. So if the party says Oceania has always been at war with Eastasia, even if yesterday they were allies, Winston has to go back and change all the records.
So he's basically a professional liar.
Kind of. But here's the thing. Winston hates the party.
He's just playing along, pretending to be a good little party member.
Yeah, but deep down, he remembers a time before the party, a time that was maybe freer.
He's clinging to those memories, even if they're hazy.
And that's dangerous.
Super dangerous. So what's life actually like for Winston? I mean, what does London look like under party rule?
Think bleak. The city's crumbling, there's not enough food, everyone's paranoid, and there are rocket bombs falling all the time.
Not exactly a fun place to live.
And on top of all that, there are telescreens everywhere.
Those are the TV things that spy on people.
Right. They blast propaganda and watch you at the same time. No privacy whatsoever.
So Winston starts to rebel, right? Even though it's insanely dangerous.
Yeah, he starts small. He gets a diary, which is totally illegal.
Having your own thoughts is a crime in Oceania.
Basically. So he starts writing down his feelings, his hatred of the party. And one of the first things he writes is, "Down with Big Brother."
Talk about a risky move.
It's huge. It's his way of claiming his own mind, you know?
And then he meets Julia.
Julia. She works at the Ministry of Truth, too, but she's younger, and she's also secretly rebelling against the party.
And they fall in love.
They do, which is another dangerous act. The party hates love. They want everyone's loyalty directed at Big Brother.
So Winston and Julia have to sneak around, find secret places to meet.
Yeah, they rent a room above a shop in a rundown part of town.
It's their little bubble of freedom, right?
It is. And it's in that room that Winston really starts to believe in the possibility of overthrowing the party.
Because he meets O'Brien.
Right. O'Brien is this high-ranking party official, but Winston convinces himself that O'Brien is also against the party.
He thinks O'Brien is part of the resistance.
Yeah, the Brotherhood, which is supposedly this secret organization working to take down Big Brother.
And O'Brien plays along, right?
He does. He gives Winston a book, supposedly written by the leader of the Brotherhood, Emmanuel Goldstein.
And this book is like the Bible of the resistance.
Exactly. It explains how the party works, how they maintain control. And for Winston, it's like everything finally makes sense.
It's like finding the answer key to the test of life.
But, of course, it's all a trap.
Yeah. That's where things go really, really south for Winston.
It turns out O'Brien was never on his side. He's actually a member of the thought police.
The guys who hunt down thought criminals.
Right. So Winston and Julia are arrested and taken to the Ministry of Love.
I hate that name. Ministry of Love.
It's where they torture people.
I know. It's just the name makes it even more creepy. So what happens to Winston in the Ministry of Love?
Well, O'Brien's in charge of his torture.
And it's not just about making Winston confess or obey.
No. It's about breaking him completely.
Mind control.
Right. They want to change the way he thinks, the way he feels. They want him to love Big Brother.
And they use some really messed up methods to do it.
Like, they use his biggest fear against him.
Which is?
Rats.
Oh, God. I hate rats.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And they basically, threaten to put this cage of rats on his face.
Horrible.
And that's when Winston breaks. He betrays Julia.
He begs them to do it to her instead.
Yeah, it's a really, really devastating moment.
It's like the party wins a complete victory over his soul.
Yeah, they've crushed him.
So what happens after they break him?
They release him back into the world.
But he's not the same Winston anymore, right?
Not at all. He's empty. He runs into Julia, But they both realize they don't love each other anymore.
The party took that away from them, too.
And the final scene of the book, it's so chilling. Winston is sitting in a cafe drinking gin, and he realizes that he loves Big Brother.
It's so bleak.
Right. The party is won. They've taken everything from him, even his ability to think for himself.
Okay, so that's the story. But 1984 is about so much more than just the plot. It's about these big, universal themes. Let's unpack some of those.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, totalitarianism and the dangers of unchecked power are huge.
Right. The party is like the ultimate example of a government gone wrong.
And it's a warning, right? It makes us think about what happens when power becomes too concentrated, when there are no checks and balances.
It makes you think about how easily that could happen, even in places that think they're free.
Exactly. And it's not just governments. It's any institution, any group that has too much power without accountability.
Another big one is truth and lies, how the party manipulates information.
That's so central to the book. The party controls the past, so they control the present, and they control the future.
And it makes you think about how easy it is to be misled, especially now, with all the fake news and propaganda online.
No, totally. It's like, how do you even know what's true anymore?
Right. Orwell was really ahead of his time on that one.
For sure.
And then there's the theme of freedom versus oppression.
Winston's desire for freedom is so basic, so human. The freedom to think, to love, to just be himself.
And the party crushes that.
They take it all away. It makes you appreciate the importance of fighting for those freedoms, for standing up against oppression.
Even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous.
Exactly.
Surveillance is another big one. I mean, the telescreens everywhere, that's terrifying.
And it's not so far-fetched, is it? Think about all the cameras, the tracking devices, the data collection happening today.
It's like we're slowly becoming Oceania.
Orwell was warning us about the dangers of letting technology be used for control.
We have to be careful about how we use technology, how much power we give it.
Absolutely.
Then there's the individual versus society. Winston is constantly battling against the party's pressure to conform.
It's that age-old conflict between what you want as an individual and what society expects of you.
How do you be yourself in a world that wants to make everyone the same?
That's the question, and it's something we all grapple with, to some extent.
Finally, there's the theme of hope and despair. Winston has moments of hope, but they're ultimately crushed.
Yeah, it's a pretty bleak ending. It makes you wonder if hope can even exist in a truly oppressive system.
It's tough to think about, but it's important.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about the big themes. Now let's get into some of the specific issues 1984 raises. Like, for example, the abuse of power.
Yeah, the party is all about abusing power. They use it to control, to manipulate, to torture.
And they don't care about the people at all.
Right. They're just interested in staying in power no matter the cost.
And it makes you think about real-world examples of this, right?
Yeah.
Dictators, corrupt governments, all that stuff.
It happens all the time. And 1984 is a reminder of how important it is to fight against it.
To hold those in power accountable.
Exactly.
Another one is the whole idea of losing truth. The party rewrites history, they create their own version of reality.
It's terrifying how effective it is. And again, it's so relevant today.
I know, right? With all the talk about fake news and alternative facts, it's like, how do you even know what to believe anymore?
It's really tough. We have to be critical thinkers. We have to question everything, do our own research.
And we have to be wary of anyone who tries to control the narrative.
Exactly.
Okay, another issue is the violation of human rights. The party doesn't even pretend to respect people's basic rights.
The torture scenes in the Ministry of Love, they're brutal. They show what happens when a government has no regard for human dignity.
It's a reminder that we can't take our rights for granted.
We have to fight for them, protect them.
And we have to speak out when we see them being violated, anywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Orwell also had some pretty interesting things to say about technology.
Yeah, he saw how technology could be used for control, for surveillance.
The telescreens, that's like the ultimate example.
Right, and it's not just about cameras watching us. It's about how technology can be used to manipulate us, to shape our thoughts and behaviors.
It's a really important issue to think about, especially now as technology becomes more and more powerful.
We have to make sure we're using technology for good, not letting it be used against us.
So true. Okay, another one is brainwashing and propaganda. The party is constantly bombarding people with slogans, with distorted information.
That's how they control people's minds. They repeat the same messages over and over again until people believe them.
And we see that happening today too, right? In advertising, in politics.
Oh yeah. We're constantly being bombarded with messages trying to influence
You
us,
have to be aware of it, you know? We have to be critical of the information we're given.
and we have to be willing to think for ourselves.
Okay, last one. Resistance and defeat. Winston tries to rebel, but he's ultimately crushed.
That's a really tough question. Can one person really make a difference against a powerful, oppressive system?
It's hard to be optimistic after reading 1984.
I know. But I think the point is that we have to keep fighting, even when it seems hopeless.
Because even small acts of resistance can make a difference.
And you never know when those small acts might inspire others to join the fight.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are your final thoughts for our listeners? What do you want them to take away from 1984?
1984 is a warning. It's a reminder of what can happen when we let power go unchecked, when we allow truth to be eroded, when we stop fighting for our freedoms.
It's a call to action, really.
It is. We have to be vigilant, we have to be critical thinkers, and we have to be willing to stand up for what we believe in, even when it's hard.
I think that's a great message to end on. So for all of you listening, we hope you'll keep these ideas in mind as you navigate the world.
And remember, just because something is repeated over and over again doesn't make it true.
Think for yourself, question everything.
And never stop fighting for a better future.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.